Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
For a long time, Will Smith seemed completely untouchable. He wasn't just another famous actor. He was the kind of star studios planned entire release calendars around. He was the safe choice, the reliable face attached to massive budgets because audiences always showed up. Families trusted him, parents approved of him, and his public image stayed spotless. He could be funny without crossing lines, emotional without appearing unstable, and charismatic without seeming forced. Kids admired him. Adults respected him. From blockbuster franchises to uplifting, inspirational dramas, he didn't merely star in successful films, he embodied the very concept of success. He became a symbol of positivity, stability, and a version of Hollywood that promised fame without danger, influence without controversy. But then that image began to shift. Not suddenly, not because of one single incident, but through a slow, visible fracture. A reputation that cracked little by little, piece by piece, until eventually the public could no longer ignore that something had changed.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to talk about something really important. Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry. So I was excited, proud of myself for getting the opportunity. Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was because it's already a legal issue right now. But the reason why I'm speaking out about this is because getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work is not okay. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you. And that's pretty much it. More updates to come soon.
What makes this shift feel so unsettling is not just what happened, but how quickly someone once treated like a cultural good guy became a constant target. It started with jokes, then memes, and eventually headlines filled with claims and legal language that no one ever expected to see connected to his name. Many people traced the public turning point back to the moment his personal life became public spectacle. When Jada Pinkett Smith spoke openly about an entanglement, it was no longer simple celebrity gossip. It turned into a public event. Not because relationships are easy, but because the details unfolded in front of everyone, and the internet did what it always does. Suddenly, people were no longer laughing with Will Smith. They were laughing at him. Clips spread everywhere. Facial expressions were dissected. Old interviews were replayed. Awkward moments became their own genre of content. Frame by frame, the internet constructed a storyline that no longer aligned with the confident, controlled persona he had spent decades building. Even then, many people still felt sympathy. They saw humiliation, not a villain, at least until the Oscars. That moment was not viewed as a simple mistake. It landed as a cultural shock. Watching Will Smith walk onto that stage and strike Chris Rock live did not read as strength to many viewers. It looked like a breaking point. In one instant, the polished image collapsed. He went from Hollywood's golden boy to someone the public no longer knew how to defend. And yet, even that was not the end. Because after the memes, the debates, and the apology cycle, another story began to surface. A story that did not rely on viral jokes, but on court filings, legal claims, and workplace allegations that carry real-world consequences. Not long ago, a video appeared online that most people barely noticed. It was not flashy. It did not come from a major creator. It was posted by a professional violinist named Brian King Joseph. In that video, Brian spoke carefully. There were no explicit names and no direct accusations, only guarded language about mistreatment, feeling unsafe, and experiencing serious workplace issues while working around someone powerful in entertainment. At first, the clip did not travel far. Brian was not a massive influencer with millions of followers, and without naming anyone directly, the algorithm moved on. Then court documents became public, and that is when this stopped being internet speculation. According to those filings, Brian King Joseph formally filed a lawsuit naming Will Smith and a company tied to tour operations. The details laid out in that lawsuit immediately changed the tone of the conversation. In the filing, Brian alleges he was brought into the orbit of a major tour project. Early on, he says the dynamic felt unusual. Not standard mentorship, but something more personal. Private conversations, time alone, and reassurances about how special the connection was. At first, he claims he interpreted it as flattering. A global star noticing his talent felt like a career-defining moment, something you do not question. Over time, however, he alleges that the attention became uncomfortable. The lawsuit describes professional boundaries beginning to blur, and Brian claims the interactions shifted in ways he did not welcome. He also alleges that as the situation escalated, he felt increasingly isolated from the rest of the team. The lawsuit then describes a key incident during a Las Vegas stop. Brian alleges that when he returned to his hotel room, a room booked and managed through tour staff, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Nothing appeared broken, and there was no obvious damage, but the room did not look the way it should have. The filing also references an earlier issue that day. Brian claims his bag, which contained his room key, went missing while tour logistics were being handled, a detail he later found troubling. Inside the room, he alleges he found items that were not his and that he describes as deeply unsettling. A red backpack, wipes, a beer bottle, hospital discharge papers tied to someone else. He also claims there was a prescription item labeled with a different person's name. According to the lawsuit, there was also a handwritten note addressed to him by name, using language that implied someone intended to return. Brian says he interpreted this as alarming, as a message suggesting an unwelcome expectation placed on him without his consent. According to the complaint, Brian contacted hotel security, called a local non-emergency police line, and reported the situation to tour representatives. The lawsuit further alleges that security footage was reviewed and did not show evidence of an outside intruder. Instead, the filing claims the footage reflected activity tied to authorized access connected to tour operations. Then comes what Brian describes as the turning point. According to the complaint, when he raised his concerns, the response was not supportive. He alleges it was dismissive. Not "let's investigate" or "are you okay," but dismissal. He claims he was accused of making it up, pressured, and then informed that the tour was moving in a different direction. Soon after, he says he was terminated and replaced. In the framing of the lawsuit, this sequence was not accidental. A report is made. The report is challenged. The person who spoke up is removed. Brian also describes severe emotional consequences, including anxiety, distress, and long-term psychological strain. Will Smith's legal team has issued a firm denial, rejecting the allegations and stating their intention to contest the claims. That is where the legal situation currently stands. But culturally, the story did not exist in isolation. Once a powerful name becomes attached to serious allegations in court filings, the internet reacts in predictable ways. It begins digging, connecting dots, and resurfacing old clips, interviews, and claims that were previously ignored or dismissed. One important distinction remains. Public conversation is not the same as a legal ruling. Still, this is what followed. After the lawsuit became public, people began drawing comparisons to other high-profile cases, saying the overall structure felt familiar. Not identical details, not the same evidence, but recognizable patterns. Influence, access, blurred professional boundaries, denial, and removal after someone speaks up. That familiarity is part of why Brian's filing resonated more strongly than expected. The lawsuit frames the situation as a process rather than a single incident. It describes a gradual buildup of attention, emotional positioning, and alleged boundary testing over time. The complaint suggests that the Las Vegas incident was not simply confusing or accidental, but a turning point. A moment that forced a choice. Stay stay quiet and accept what is happening or push back. Brian alleges that when he pushed back, the door closed. That detail unsettled many people because similar response patterns have appeared in other celebrity disputes. Strong denials, no admissions, and communication only through lawyers. Once a lawsuit enters the public record, older claims often resurface. In this case, online discussions revived an interview involving a former associate who spoke about Will Smith and actor Dwayne Martin, adding yet another layer to a story that continues to evolve.
You see the hundreds of celebrities that I've done business with, and things with. During the latter years of our relationship, Will was not my friend. I was his friend. I could tell you what goes on the inside. Everybody else is just speculation. And then I've saw acts that when I walked in them.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin. Door to Dwayne dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having sex with Will. There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up, killing, like murder. It was there.
Will Smith's side has publicly rejected those claims, dismissing them as fabricated and driven by financial motives. That response is not a verdict. It is one part of a broader public conversation that tends to grow louder whenever new legal filings surface. From there, some commentators reach further back, re-examining Will Smith's rise and noting how rapidly doors open for him at critical moments. Will Smith himself has spoken openly about being reckless, with money early in his career and later facing serious financial fallout. He has described a period where he was famous yet vulnerable, and in the entertainment world, vulnerability can attract powerful figures who offer assistance that may come with unspoken expectations. That is where the discussion of industry gatekeepers enters the picture. One name frequently mentioned in those conversations is Benny Medina, a major Hollywood power player with deep access. Over the years, various allegations about Medina have circulated publicly, debated across media coverage and online commentary. They remain allegations, not findings of guilt, and multiple accounts exist. Still, when people talk about gatekeepers, his name often surfaces as part of that wider discussion. Another figure that appears in long-standing Hollywood talk is Quincy Jones, an iconic name associated with enormous influence. Some online narratives suggest that major career breakthroughs are not always solely about talent, but also about access and relationships. There is no verified evidence of wrongdoing involving Will Smith and Quincy Jones. However, speculation has existed for decades, largely fueled by how the public perceives power structures in entertainment. Legally, what matters is what can be proven. Will Smith's team denies the allegations laid out in Brian King Joseph's lawsuit, and the case will ultimately stand or fall on evidence, testimony, and what can be established through the legal process. Culturally, however, the damage is already in motion. Will Smith was never seen as just another celebrity. He was a symbol, someone held up as proof that you could be a global superstar and still appear clean, stable, and family-friendly. Once that symbol cracks, people do not just question the allegations, they begin to question the entire image. The marriage, the silence, the outbursts, the defensiveness, all of it starts to look different. So, is Will Smith guilty? We do not know. But has public perception shifted? Absolutely. And regardless of whether this lawsuit succeeds or fails, it has already altered how people see him. The pedestal is gone. The benefit of the doubt is thinner. And in today's culture, once public trust breaks, it rarely returns to what it once was. This is not about canceling anyone. It is about accountability in industries that often thrive on silence. If Brian King Joseph's claims are true, then this case becomes bigger than one celebrity. It becomes a story about how influence operates, how careers can be controlled, and why so many people are afraid to speak up. And if the claims are not supported, then the lawsuit will collapse under scrutiny. Either way, the conversation is not disappearing. For decades, Hollywood decided which stories were allowed to exist. Now, the internet plays a massive role in determining what spreads, what sticks, and what people continue to question. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of another major reckoning in entertainment? Or is it a collision of rumor, resentment, and a fallen icon that people are projecting onto? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown interesting, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss what comes next. This story is still unfolding, and we will be watching closely as it develops. I will see you in the next one.